Very own personal tribute to Timmy Mallett. That's only because we hadn't got Go Now in the record library, and I wish Timmy Mallett every success in his new career, whatever it is. Unfortunately, the entire massive radio complex in the centre of Greater Manchester is full of drunken, spotty teenagers, so the chances of getting through a decent radio programme are limited. However, I sincerely hope that they'll all push off between now and 11 o'clock so we can get on with some proper broadcasting. I'll say this much, the bloke from Black Lace is in here, that, you know, the one who goes with his teeth, and he has got the face that I would most like to smash in with a brick until the end of time. And if you can hear this, I sincerely hope he comes in here and tries to sort it out. You know, one of those faces, you look at it and you think, God's truth, right? He's in the next room with his leather trousers on, and in this weather it must be terrible inside them. Anyway, that's the end of all that Timmy Mallett nonsense, and welcome to a decent radio programme. James H. Reeve with you here from now until 1 o'clock, and we'll get some decent broadcasting done. And with any luck, that will be the last that we see of Timmy Mallett until the end of time. Won't that be nice? If you want to join in on the programme, then you can give us a ring on 061 228 6262, and obviously you'll want to discuss the burning topics of the day like you usually do, but something that I really want to know is what is that shadow in the middle of the football pitch in all the matches in Mexico, because it started off as just a dot and now it's grown until it's like a big sunflower. If you've got any ideas as to what this thing is in the middle of the pitch, then come on the programme and tell me. Christ, hang on. There we are, that's better, isn't it? Seamless. Yes, I'm very partial to that. There's just a noise in the studio. The reason, actually, is that the entire massive complex, which lays down a fantastic crystal clear signal, unless you live in Harper A, is full of drunken teenagers and drunken members of staff, all because of the leaving party of this so-called disc jockey, Tommy Mallett, or whatever his stupid name is. Anyway, tonight is going to be an exceptional programme because I've no option. Later on, the cleaners will be in to take away all the empty tins and wipe out the ashtrays and so on, so there'll be some entertaining hoovering going on in the background, but let that not stand in your way of joining into the usual entirely stimulating radio programme. Tonight's guest telephone answerer, Steve Huckvale, has been temporarily laid off because he's too drunk to answer the phones, because he was in there firing the twiglets down his throat and getting stuck into the Fosters and trying to interfere with all these nymphettes. Tonight's guest telephone answerer is none other than the fabulous Frank Sidebottom. Oh, blimey. And he'll be answering the telephones, and he may very well make a special guest appearance in the programme. Also on tonight's programme will be Rita Roe, remember her? The one that many of you think I'm sleeping with, but I deny this completely. She'll be in to present a theatrical-type review. And whatever else comes into the programme is entirely your responsibility, because tonight is Thursday night and things very much tend to take care of themselves, don't they? If you want to come on and throw some dross onto the already sinking ship of this programme, then 061 228 6262 is the telephone number, and you're very welcome to the programme, and I mean that in every sense of the word. We're going to have some music, of course, which will be exceptional, as it always is. These are the Glitter Band from, good grief, about 1973. Yes, and Angel Face. Programme, if you will. Brilliant, aren't they? The Glitter Band and Angel Face. It's 18 minutes past 10 o'clock. We'll take a break, and then, with any luck, we'll have some callers. The leading participants in that, I can assure you. It's 19 minutes past 10, as you can probably imagine. The detritus is slowly but surely being cleared from the wreckage which was the Timmy Mallett programme, and with any luck things will return to normal between now and 11 o'clock, and then we continue on our serene way up until 1 o'clock. I sincerely hope that happens. One of the things that I really want to get to the bottom of on tonight's programme is what is that thing in the middle of the pitch in all the World Cup soccer matches, because in the early days, you remember when England got beat 1-0 by Portugal, there was just sort of a small dot just to the right-hand side of the centre circle. But as the competition has progressed, this thing has grown like a sort of an ink blot, and it's now spreading arms all over the place, and I want to know what it is. I was speaking to Steve Huckvale, my friend and colleague and confidant, and I said, what do you think it is? He says, I don't know, which is just about the level of comment you can expect from him. And I suggested that it was either an overhead spotlight or something suspended, which perhaps was a sunflower. And as the weather's got hotter, the sunflower has begun to spread its petals. And I suggested to him that the sunflower might be the national emblem of Mexico. And he said, no, it isn't, like he does. So I said, well, what is the national emblem of Mexico? He says, I think it's a goat. Now, I mean, that's hardly... I mean, you can't really suggest that, can you? If you've got any sensible suggestions as to what this thing is in the middle of the pitch during the World Cup matches, then come on and tell me on 061 228 6262. In... oh, good grief. In Chorlton is Kath Williams, I hope. Oh, no, she's not. Hang on, I'll do that. Yes, Kath Williams, come on.
Hello?
Yes?
Hi, is it an Inca sun?
What?
Which is, how a lost Mexican tribe used to draw the sun, and it's suspended from the top of the stadium over the pitch.
Inca?
Inca.
I-N-C-A?
Inca.
The lost civilization of the Incas?
Mexican tribe.
Well, I don't... Yes, I know all about that. I don't know. Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice if some of these fat men with expensive haircuts, instead of saying, well, for me, I think they should play two up front and all the rest of it, if they actually told us what this thing was, instead of droning on about... Instead of these people who don't know anything about football, otherwise they'd be out there, would sit... Instead of doing that, if they would sit around in the studio discussing what this thing was, then it might take a load off the minds of the vast majority of people who are sitting watching the television.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting there with their eyes popping out of their heads.
Yeah, well, that's what I think it is.
You think it's an Inca sun?
Yeah.
And what might be the purpose of that, Kath?
I'm not quite sure.
Oh, God.
Well, it's Mexican, isn't it?
Indisputably, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, fabulous. Right, great stuff. Darren Howarth in Rochdale.
Jim?
Yes.
You know that girl that's just been on?
Yes.
She's wrong.
Go on, then. Why's that?
Well, you know, when it has arms, that shadow,
Yeah.
well, you only get that in the Azteca because it's some speakers. Have you ever seen there's like a spiral?
No, it was there in Monterey.
No, in Monterey, it's only like a little dot in it, like you said when England played Poland.
Yeah.
Well, it's a dot.
Yeah.
But in the Azteca, it's got all them lines.
Well, yes, sort of radial lines, yes.
Yeah. Well, it's a big spiral of speakers for public address system, that.
Then why is the shadow of it on the middle of the pitch?
Because it's suspended in the air over the middle of the pitch.
Well, why has it got all these things? Why do they have the one in Monterey and the other in the Azteca and the Tecnologica
They've only got one.
and the Cascara?
They've only got one of them. The others all have like a little dot. They only have one speaker.
Yes.
And the Azteca's got the big one.
And that's the definite answer, is it?
Definite.
Well, it sounds like a lot of bull to me, actually.
It's true, that. You're on telly.
Who said that?
What's it? John Motson said that.
Why, did people write in?
No, he just told us.
Well, I don't believe
You know what John Motson's like, don't you?
Yeah, he's a tall chap with a bald head.
No, he's not.
Oh, I'm sorry, am I mistaking him for someone else?
I think so.
Oh, all right, then. OK, but thank you very much, Darren. That was no use whatsoever. We'll see if oh, God, he's on again. Peter Niss in Alderley Edge has got anything better to offer.
Yeah, right. What I'd like to talk about is,
Do you want to explain the joke again, Peter?
no.
Right.
What I'd like to talk about is, you know, the Channel Islands has given the British government 2 million quid of theirs to spend on the defence budget.
Is that right?
Yeah. It was on the news earlier this evening.
What, in case the Germans come back?
Yeah. Well, you see, what the, the Channel Islands have got partial independence, but they're still, you know, officially ruled by, you know, the Crown, you know...
Yes.
Well, anyway, they've given 2 million quid to the British government to spend on the defence budget.
Yeah.
Now, what they want it to be spent on is a Royal Navy helicopter to be based in the Channel Islands, you know, for life-saving and that.
What for?
Well,
Oh, to save lives?
yeah, because all they've got at present is a couple of inflatables with motors on the back. That isn't good enough.
A couple of inflatable whats?
Boats.
Oh, right, yeah.
What did you think?
Never mind.
And, I mean, they've got a very good case for it as well, right? And what the British government want to do, I mean, they've really got their heads up their backsides here, right? What they want to buy is a minesweeper. Right?
What?
That's what I thought. Now, I don't really see the logic in that. you know, I mean, I may be wrong, but I don't think there are a lot of mines around at the moment.
Well, no, thanks to Ian McGregor, no.
Yeah, I mean, you're a sensible man, aren't you? I mean...
Very much so. Very, very, very sensible indeed, yeah.
On a scale of 10,
sensible.
I mean, how would you score Rita Roe in bed?
Now listen. Now this has got nothing to do with it, right? I've told you before about mentioning this. And what's that got to do with mines?
Why don't you admit it?
And going down shafts.
Why don't you admit it?
It's got nothing to do with the programme. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off.
Okay.
Unless you... Oh, no, never mind that. No, I won't bother. Right, get off, you idiot. Danny Williams in Davenport, come on. Come on.
Hello, sorry, that was a pregnant pause, wasn't it?
It certainly was, yes.
Well, at least it wasn't a pregnant Rita Roe. Anyway...
Look, I'm not prepared to tolerate this anymore.
No, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Warren Burger, who's just retired as the Chief Justice of the United States of America.
Well, why not? I was thinking of bringing it up myself.
Yes, and he's been replaced by William Rehnquist, who is known to share many of President Reagan's views.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking that as President Reagan appoints all the new members, or the promotions in the Supreme Court, wouldn't it be quite easy for him to fill the whole lot with yes men?
Well, I should imagine he's already thought of that.
Well, yes, but don't you think that they should introduce some legislation, you know, to prevent politicians meddling with the law?
Well, that's what politicians are supposed to do. Politicians draft the laws.
Well, yes, but surely the other judges should appoint the new Chief Justice.
Well, in any form of government, well, certainly in a democracy, it's politicians who draft the laws and the judiciary who are supposed to enforce them. However much that they may disagree with the way the laws have been drafted, that's the way the mop flops.
Yes, but I mean, where could it all end? I mean, he could appoint all his relatives to Congress so that, you know, they could vote through any new arms being sent to Nicaragua or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And so, what's the problem here exactly? You're a bit dissatisfied with the state of government in the United States?
Yes.
Oh, well, I hope it doesn't keep you awake very long.
Oh, I dare say it won't. By the way, do you think Rita Reeve will have any answers to the accusations later on?
Get off, get off. Richard Highland in Middleton, yes?
Hello?
Hello.
You know this shadow in Mexico?
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, apparently it's a sound system that's suspended over the pitch.
Well, what does it do?
Oh, it don't do anything, it's not working.
Oh, because the Mexicans are in charge of it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but apparently, if you look at it's in the Azteca Stadium, innit?
Apparently, yes.
Yeah, if you look along on the stands, you see like a white structure.
Structure?
Yeah.
A sort of an erection?
Don't be disgusting.
Oh.
Well, it's that. It's a shadow off that falls on the pitch.
And that's it, is it?
And that's it.
Well, that's all very disappointing.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was some sort of triffid.
No.
No.
Nothing
All
like
right.
that.
I'll push off then. Boring. Lisa McConville in Winsford.
Hello?
Hello.
It is the shadow on from the sound system above.
So we seem to
on
have...
Greavesy and St John this afternoon.
What? What?
It is the sound equipment from above because it was on Greavesy and St John this afternoon.
Oh, well, if Greavesy and St John tell us what it is, then that's the end of it, isn't it? That's problem solved.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
assuming, of
definitely
course, that Jimmy Greaves knew which studio he was in, or which country he was in, for that matter. He's puddled, honestly. You know, on Spitting Image, they don't bother making a puppet. They just invite him in and give him a fee, because there's no difference at all.
Oh, no.
Puddled. I don't know how many brain cells he's got left, but... anyway, never mind. So that's the answer, is it?
Yes.
Right,
Can you
well...
just say hello to my boyfriend?
No, you can't. Thank you very much indeed, Lisa McConville in Winsford, for clearing that one up. I'm still not satisfied. I'm still not convinced that this ridiculous shadow in the middle of the pitch is anything to do with the sound system at all, because even at Piccadilly, our engineering department haven't managed to produce a sound system which looks as ridiculous as that. So if you've got any more original suggestions as to what this shadow on the pitch is, then please tell me about it on the programme on 061 228 6262 if you can. And failing that, then come on the programme and talk about anything, because I'm here for the next 2.5 hours. Here's a break. At 10:30 precisely, the usual stuff in the programme, but most importantly, Rita Roe has now joined us in the studio, and we'll be talking about theatrical matters and other things, I suspect, shortly. You discomfiture, and now, at 25 minutes or thereabouts to 11 o'clock. We are joined in the studio by our resident theatrical correspondent, Ms. Rita Roe. Hello.
Hello.
Ah, hi.
What was that comment?
What?
What was all that?
Which one?
Came in through the doors, I heard all this bit... Some chap from wherever on the telephone.
Ah, yes.
What's all that about?
Well, actually, I'm glad you're here, Rita, because you can put this right once and for all, actually. There seems to be a growing suspicion amongst the populace, amongst the hoi polloi, right, that you and I are not altogether observing the rules of propriety which one might expect in
Shock horror, Jim.
in a professional relationship.
Really?
And I'm glad that you're here because you can, in fact, put these idiots right. That there is nothing...
Hang on, Jim. Can I tell them the truth here, or
just
do you want me to lie?
Just say, Rita, that there is nothing whatsoever between us.
Okay.
Not even a sheet.
There is nothing between us. Does that sound sincere? Was that with meaning?
Good enough for me.
I like the comment about how good am I in bed on the rating.
Ah, fine.
Let me tell you, listener, this kid is great.
Oh, shut you.
Am I allowed to say that?
You...
Okay, I'll talk about the theatre.
Ask me if I ever slept with you.
I'm sorry? No, we don't want to get into that.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a gag.
Oh, this is a gag. Okay. Have you ever slept with me, Jim?
Not a wink.
Oh, love it.
Fabulous, isn't it, hey?
Well, it's more interesting talking about that than it is about what I've been to see tonight.
Oh, yes, yeah. What was it?
Oh, it was dreadful.
The first night's always terrible, though, isn't it?
It's not a first night.
Is it not? Oh.
No, we've given them lots and lots of time to bed it in, as it were, if you'll excuse the pun from what we were speaking about. It's me popping again. They started off on the 5th of June, so they should be getting it right by now. There's no way that this is going to come off. It's awful. It's awful.
What is it?
What are you fiddling with? What are you doing?
I'm adjusting my controls.
He's fiddling. I can't hear a thing. He's put these things on my head and I can't hear a damn thing. I went to see...
You promised to wear them.
They keep going twang, though, and they get caught in the stockings. I went to see the act at the Royal Exchange.
Oh, God.
Jim, look at me. Stop fiddling with your carts.
I can't.
And it was dreadful.
What is it?
Jim, it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
What? The Royal Exchange Theatre?
It's called The Act by Richard Langridge. And it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It was pretentious. It really was. I mean, I would swear if I could. It was awful. Shall I tell you about it?
There are those, Rita, who would say that the entire concept of the theatre in this day and age is pretentious.
No, that's absolute rubbish.
Ah.
It really is rubbish. This was awful. This is what... Do you remember that the Royal Exchange did a script writing competition?
Oh, what?
Will you stop fiddling with my levels, because I can't hear myself speaking. I'm going to take these off. They did a script writing competition. And the winner was Mumbo Jumbo that we reviewed a couple of months ago.
Yes, quite so.
Okay. Well, this is one of the runner-ups or something. And...
Runners-up.
Or runner-ups.
Yeah.
And I hated it. This Richard Langridge chap is a... Apparently he works at the BBC, and he's an editor for soaps or something. I mean, I mention that because the play itself may have worked terribly well on television, but it certainly didn't in the theatre. Let me tell you a bit what it's about, then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Please do.
In the programme notes here it says, in a house somewhere in Eastern Europe during the Second World War, 2 vaudeville clowns have arrived to rehearse their act, hence the title, The Act. Later that evening they are booked to perform at a party for Nazi officers. Everything is not quite as it seems, blah, 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 blah. That's basically what it's about. These 2 guys arrive. They're apparently picked up from their home to perform somewhere, they don't know where. It's set in Germany in November 1943, and they go with their vaudeville act, and it's obvious that they're going to have to entertain German officers or Hitler or Goebbels or who knows. And during the night...
Himmler.
Even him, yes, as well. Yes, who knows? Apparently they're all in Berlin, but who knows? But they start to rehearse...
Admiral Dönitz.
Let me finish. They start to rehearse their act, and this he's a brown shirt, actually, so I don't know whether they got their dates quite right.
Listen, that's his business.
A brown shirt comes in, an officer, who says that he's got a script, and he wants to do a specific little play that he's written himself for the German officers.
Rita.
Hello?
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to interrupt you at this point.
Okay.
A brown shirt is brown shirt was a sort of a popular nickname for members of the Sturmabteilung, right?
That's right.
The black shirts were the SS, or the Schutzstaffel. Now, the Sturmabteilung, the brown shirts, ceased to be after the Night of the Long Knives.
Exactly. That's why I think they got the dates right, but I couldn't remember what the date of the Night of the Long Knives was.
I think it was 1937. Anyway, it was long before the outbreak of the war.
Quite.
And therefore this bloke couldn't have been
well, that's why I brought
around.
it up. I was trying to show that I knew something of, history here.
Yeah.
And you obviously wanted to show off, so I gave you the opportunity. Can I now get back to
Not for
what's
the first
happening
time.
Okay. So, this chap arrives with the script and he decides he wants to do this little play. And the play that he wants to do is basically that he wants to put God on trial. He wants to put God on trial for treason. Obviously to prove that the fascist, that the Nazi policies are good.
Yeah.
And that God should be more or less abolished, and that Hitler is the best thing since sliced bread, and he's going to look after the people, etc., etc., and the Jews are really bad news. And that God should be abolished, and these two vaudeville clowns, poor things, have got to portray this for the revelry and the entertainment of Nazi officers. Now, the awful thing is, these two vaudeville clowns actually happen to be Jewish, which comes out at the end of it.
So the theme is one of sort of moral prostitution.
Well, no, it isn't, because they refuse to do it.
Don't disagree with me.
They actually... No, you're wrong, Jim.
I'm sorry.
I haven't been away that long that you can... Is it the argument we had 2 nights ago, Jim? Is that what, you haven't forgiven me? You just haven't forgiven me for that.
I thought I heard you use the word wrong there, Rita.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's that little fracas we had the other night.
A word I'm not accustomed to using.
You're spoiling my review here, Jim.
It's a hearing, anyway.
What was that going off then?
Oh, sorry, no, nothing.
You're not allowed to do that. So, no, they don't. They don't prostitute themselves because they refuse to do it, basically. They admit that they're Jews and they can't possibly do this play, do this script. And that's about it. I mean, it's...
So, well, I mean, it seems to me, forgive me, Rita, but this seems to me to be
terribly self-indulgent.
Well, I mean, all right, not terribly original, but then again, one has to make the point that about the horrible things that went on during the Nazi regime and so on and so forth.
Of course, but I'm sure you have, as much as I have, seen far, far better things on a British stage than this.
Well,
I mean, it was awful. The plot wasn't that brilliant or even original, and we just saw these two guys talking about... who knows? I mean, it was so... I tell you, it was so bad. It was so boring. I started nodding off to sleep. And I had to say to the guy sitting next to me, for goodness sake, don't let me nod off, because I'm reviewing. Oh, it was... Honestly, it was the worst thing I've seen. It shouldn't be allowed.
Well,
I never say that. I don't normally say that. I normally find a point of merit.
This seems to be a fairly comprehensive thumbs down.
Oh, absolutely. Don't go and see it, for goodness sake.
So... Where is it?
Well, it's at the Royal Exchange.
Yeah, what's it called?
It's called The Act.
And what are the dates on which you should not go and see it?
Well, I don't think anybody should go and see it, so I don't see what I need to give the dates out.
It's very important to know when.
OK, well, if you're going to have to go and see it, it's on until the 28th of June.
Ah.
And this is the one that's playing in repertoire with Behind Heaven, if you remember. So you've got to ring the box office up to find out what night, what's on, because there are two running at the same time.
So
but I wouldn't bother. No, don't go and see it. No, awful.
Oh, well, that's the end of that then.
I've never said that, have I?
I don't think you've ever been quite as scathing about any particular production.
It's not... I'm in a great mood, feel great, look all right.
Fine. Well, I've had worse, yeah.
So it's nothing to do with that. I mean, I just hated it. It's the worst thing I've seen on a British stage in a long, 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 long time. However... I hear that the Rocky Horror Show's in town.
It is indeed.
At the Palace Theatre. If you want to spend some money, if you want a great night out, go and see that. Don't bother with the Royal Exchange. Because it's good. Yeah, it's loads of fun and it's great.
You've reviewed it already recently, haven't you? At, well, about a month ago. It was on at somewhere else, the Wythenshawe Forum or somewhere like that, wasn't it?
A month ago?
Yeah.
No, ages and ages and ages ago.
Well, that's a month on my time scale.
Oh, no. A long, long time ago it was at the Wythenshawe Forum.
Yeah.
It's very good there too. So it's a fun show. It's a fun show. Apparently, I heard tonight... Can I go on? Do you mind?
Well, you generally do.
Do you mind me going on? My listener, he doesn't hear me very often. He wants to hear me. And where are my fan letters, by the way?
Come on!
On a train coming into Piccadilly this evening, apparently, there were a lot of Rocky Horror Show fans, and they had all the gear on, they had the suspenders, and these are the guys.
God.
These are the guys.
Yeah.
Suspenders and knickers and the whole bit. And apparently the commuters who were going out to Buxton or wherever they live, or Derbyshire or wherever, who knows, couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that these people were coming into Manchester.
Bloody
dressed
terrible,
like that.
isn't it?
I think it's wonderful.
You can't tell the lads from the girls.
Oh, they had all that. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
It's disgraceful. They should all get their hair cut.
I'll tell you about chess as well if you like.
No, you better haven't.
I won't tell you about chess. Okay.
So, this concludes the theatrical review for the evening, then.
I suppose this has got to mean I've no letters or poems or...
Well, they are, but I can't get to them because they're covered up with
like
crates of empties after Timmy Mallett's programme, I'm afraid.
Oh, I know. There's about 5 million people outside waiting to grab him and
all of them
take
horrid
things off him.
Right,
Maybe
well...
they're waiting for you, Jim, who knows?
Yes, well, actually, I made 1 or 2 inquiries before and no one seemed to want to take anything off me,
Oh,
so
dear.
I decided to come in here and do the programme instead.
That's life.
I know, that's the way it goes, isn't it? Right then, madam, I expect you'll be going now
I will.
in order to put an end to any possible speculation.
Well, I'll usual place, I suppose.
Dum, dum, dum. Right, well, thanks very much, Rita. You'll be in shortly, I
I'll
expect.
see you next week, Jim.
Jolly good. Same time, same channel.
Yeah, something like that.
Fine, fabulous. Okay, thanks.
Bye.
You're great. Bye-bye now. Good. We'll take a break at this juncture, I suspect. After Rita Roe's appearance, we should slow things down a little, you know, unwind. Open a bottle of wine, maybe. Now the party's over. God, I hate him. He's so brilliant. That's from 1982 or 3, possibly. It doesn't really matter, does it? Brian Ferry and Avalon. We're going to Wythenshawe, Oldham and Stockport in just a moment, but not until we've had this. Right, looks slippy. Phil Levy in Wythenshawe.
All right, Jim.
Yes, never mind that. Come on, get on with it.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about people who are tight.
Ah, as we were discussing last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's about my dad.
Yes.
Right. You know when he's making bacon?
Yes.
And when he turns the bacon over, he turns the gas off.
What?
When he turns the bacon over, he turns the gas off.
And then lights it again to the other side.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And there's more.
Oh, and there's more.
And there's more. Come
There's
here.
more. Yeah.
Right. When I
Yeah.
was a little kid.
Yeah.
Right. I said to him, "I've got my eye on a bike. If I get your eye on it, you won't get your bum on it."
Oh, that's very, very amusing. That's typical Wythenshawe humour, I expect. Isabel Robinson in Oldham.
Hiya.
You want to talk about nurses?
Yeah, I do.
That's fine with me.
I've been reading today in paper
All
what
right.
they've said about them having to wear tights.
What?
Well, some nurses have been going around the hospitals with no tights on.
This is an old story, this.
It's in today's paper.
Well, what, in the Sun?
No, I don't read that garbage.
No, good.
I read the Mirror.
Yes. Oh, well, that's better, yeah.
Right, and it says that there was a concession passed 2 years ago saying that they didn't have to wear ties, but some bosses today in Clatterbridge, wherever that is.
Oh,
I don't
God,
know.
it sounds horrible. It must be in Yorkshire.
Oh, well, that's typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, it says that they've made them wear ties.
As
Well,
a
I mean, I sit down all day and I know what it's like. I never wear them in summer.
Why, does it get a bit,
Well, they get sticky, don't
Yeah,
they?
oh, dear me, there's no need for that. Good grief, jack me off. Talking of the same thing in Stockport, yes?
Hello.
Yes.
Right. It's about that shadow, the shadow over the pitch at Mexico.
Yes.
I think it's Ron Atkinson's big fat head as he's pondering over buying the Morocco team or something.
Yeah, but as... What's that?
It's my farmyard.
It's what?
My farmyard.
Why have you got a farmyard with you? Oh, good grief.
We've got a cold. Hold on, can I tell you a joke?
No.
That record,
Yeah?
I've sent it to you. It should be there. Have you got it?
I've got it, yes. I've not had time to listen to it because I suspect it's indecent. You're talking about...
Will you read the letter out for me, though?
Will do. Next week.
Next week? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
then.
all right, you'll have to keep
Yeah.
listening. Good.
Right, well, how did a Jewish policeman catch a criminal?
Go on.
He had a tip-off.
Oh, I don't wish to know that. Good grief. The record to which Jack Me Off was referring was the third album from Ivor Biggin and the Red-Nosed Burglars, and it's called More Filth, Dirt Cheap, and she'll be bringing you selected extracts from it during some of the more salubrious moments of the programme next week. It's 4 minutes to 11. Sean is poised to bring you the 11 o'clock news bulletin, but before we can do that, we've got to have this.
I didn't think...
Nicely half of the next record, which is Blue Zone by Finest Thing, or possibly Finest Thing by Blue Zone. I've no idea which. It's going round and round on the turntable, so it's rather difficult for me to read it. When the music stops, Sean Pendlington will be here to speak to you. Yes, fine. There's a certain amount of confusion in the studio at the moment, since most of the staff surrounding me appear to be K-Lied. Nonetheless, I trust this won't interfere with the usual smooth running of the programme. That was Mod the Hoople, and all the way from Memphis, bringing us out of the main 11 o'clock news bulletin. And very nice it was, too. Presented inimitably by Sean Pendlington, the ginger-haired Celt. Welcome back. This is the second hour of the programme. My name's Jim... No, I think James tonight. Yes, James H. Reeve. This is Piccadilly Radio, and this sort of thing goes on every night, well, four nights a week, Monday to Thursday inclusive, between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. The reason that tonight's programme isn't flowing with its usual smoothness is the fact that the place is full of people throwing empty beer cans around and coming up to you and saying, have you got any more peanuts and things like that. So bear with me until they've all been shunted off. Things may be a little bit umpty, but don't worry, everything will calm down and we'll be fine until 1 o'clock, I can assure you. We'll be helped along by you on the telephone, I presume. If you want to join the programme, then you know what it is. Ring 06122286262. And there are a number of letters which I can read out. Michael Dean, no stranger to this programme by any means, features large in some of the letters which I've got to read out to you tonight, and I'll be bringing you those in just a moment or two. I bet you can hardly wait. And anything else which crops up, I don't know, anything could happen at the moment. The building is full of megastars from the pop scene, so one of them may come in at any moment and want to speak to me, or something. Anyway, or want to do something with me. At least I hope Amazulu want to do something with me, because they were in before and they're very nice indeed. Right, meantime, we'll make it up as we go along, because there's an hour and 3/4 of the programme remaining. One of the many things that you will find happens between now and 1 o'clock is the phenomena known on commercial radio as a commercial break, and this is one of them. Right. Forget it. Doug Ashton in Wythenshawe. Come on!
About the dispute over what's on the pitch.
Yes?
A statue, which I think is a sunburst, which is worshipped by the old Aztecs in Mexico.
No, wait, no, actually, yes, now you're making more sense now than that woman that was on before, because the Aztecs were from Mexico, weren't they? The Incas were from Peru. She was going on about the Incas and sun gods and all this sort of thing. The Incas were from Peru, which is in South America, but the Aztecs were from Mexico, which is in Central America.
I think that's why the stadium's called the Azteca Stadium as well.
Clearly.
And there's not many sound systems I know of that's got a circle that looks like sunstrokes on the outside as well.
Well, I've never heard anything like it, actually. It's clearly something it's something circular with sort of veins fanning out from it, right?
Yeah.
Now, I can't see why that would be necessary, because as you and I know, Doug, the sound systems tend to have speakers of a circular nature, not with ridiculous things sticking out from them.
That's right,
unless it is, in fact, a gigantic sunflower, which has been grown in honour of the World Cup to commemorate the fact, then this appears to be the only explanation.
That's right.
Why is it suspended on wires, presumably, over the middle of the pitch?
I don't think it is on wire. I don't think it is over the middle of the pitch. I think it's over the main stand. It's like a large concrete pole or something with the sunburst on top.
Yeah.
And the different sizes, obviously, the sun's shining on it. I mean, early in the evening, or early in the day over there in Mexico, you're talking about 12, 1 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
So the sun's at its highest, so it's not so clever on the pitch. But when the sun starts to set, there's more of a shadow being cast over the pitch with it.
Yeah, but when you see it, it's always just to the right of the centre spot, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But when you look at the players, they've hardly got any shadow.
Oh,
Their own shadow is almost immediately underneath them, as if the sun is directly overhead. So the thing must be suspended very nearly over the centre spot of the pitch.
Correct, yeah, I never thought of that.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Look, the next time we're on to Tom Tyrrell, who's in Mexico, boozing it up, on a freebie, then we'll have words with him, and ask him if he can make some enquiries, because Tom, I'll tell you what, there's one thing about Tom Tyrrell, and that is that he can tell a good story. Have you noticed that?
I have, yeah.
Oh, God. You see, it's funny because when I was in Torremolinos, there was this thing overhead which was casting a shadow, and so on and so on and so forth, right? Hey, look, just a minute. Something has just been handed to me which I do not believe, right?
Go on.
Listen, well, I tell you, it doesn't concern you because you're going off the programme now, but we've got the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. In Crumpsall is Jimmy White.
Yeah.
Hello, Jimmy.
Hello.
Now, stay where you are, because, and you won't believe this at all, in Chadderton is Steve Davis. Hello?
Hiya. Morning.
Jimmy White, you are now talking to Steve Davis.
All right, Steve.
All right, Chuck, how are you doing? All right?
Not so bad.
Yeah. I'm on top form.
Yeah, still taking drugs.
I don't believe this.
So, no, that's just a fallacy, that is. The only hay fever tablets, that's all.
Listen, no, it's Kirk Stevens that does all that. In fact, he was disqualified.
Probably Alex Higgins does it as well.
Well, so they say.
Yeah.
Kirk Stevens was disqualified for sticking the cue ball up his nose because he thought they were doing it in pill form. Listen, are these your real names?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy...
I was named after him. My dad named him after him, like.
What do you mean? Jimmy White's only been known on the snooker scene for about 2 years. How old are you?
Hey?
Don't say A.
Older.
God. Honestly, they're so common, some of the people you get on this programme.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I've got points for you.
Look, I tell you what. Look, we're going to do this properly, right?
Yeah.
Jim, just a minute. I can't work this out. Right, Jimmy White, you're going off now for the moment.
Yeah.
And that should leave Steve Davis.
See Jimmy White.
Oh, just a minute. Jimmy White, you've gone. Steve Davis, you're on.
Hello there, Jim.
Right, now then.
No, then.
Is your name really Steve Davis?
It seriously is, yes.
Oh, God.
Honest.
Right, all right then.
So, anyway...
Listen, I'd just like to say at this point that if there's anyone called Bill Werbenuk listening in the Greater Manchester area, then please give us a ring on 061 228 6262.
Does he drink lager?
Or Silvino Francisco.
Yeah, pieces.
Or Perry Manns.
Oh, very good.
OK, carry on, Stephen.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm afraid that a few of your listeners are ill-informed.
How's that?
Sound speakers. Listen, Jim, what it is, it's me and my mates. It's us. It's our fault that you're getting this, shadow.
On the pitch in...
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
why?
it is, we've hired this, Sputnik spaceship from a place in Duckenfield.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Duckenfield Sputnik hire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know it, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and what it is, we sort of hire it and we whiz over there and watch the match because we haven't got a telly. Can't afford a licence for a telly.
Ah, right.
So all this about speaker and all, they're making it up. It's I'm sorry that we've sort of obviously interfered with your football, but we've anyway, Jim, we can pick you up on the Sputnik, so we're not missing the show either.
Well, that's very very heartening. Where are you speaking from at the moment, Steve?
Well, I'm at home because there's no football on tonight, really. So we're in Chadderton.
So you nip home?
Yeah. Well, it's only two. It's like putting the cartridge, press a few buttons, and we're there. It's absolutely fantastic. It's all this new technology and everything,
Right, yeah.
But it's, people think I'm having you on, Jim, but it's true.
Not at all. No, I'm quite prepared to
accept. I haven't touched a
accept
drop all night.
No, certainly not. No.
But I like the odd tipple of Guinness, but we can't say that anyway. Carry on.
No, not at all.
No.
Oh well, thanks, Steve. Anyway, that's great. Thanks for clearing that up, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, smashing. So that's put everyone's mind at rest. Good. So that's the answer. The shadow on the pitch during all the football matches in Mexico is in fact a Sputnik, which has been hired from Duckenfield Sputnik hire by Steve Davis, so him and his mate can go over and watch the match. Meanwhile, Jimmy White in Crumpsall, I trust, is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think to that?
What?
What do you mean, what? What's just happened? What Steve Davis said?
It's a load of rubbish.
Oh.
Right, listen to this.
OK.
On Red Rose, there once worked a Pratt. He was a gingerhead kid, quite fat. Alan Beswick was his name, and trying to be nasty was his game.
Mm-hmm.
But he went too far when he tried to slag off Jim Reeve, for old Jim had a few tricks up his sleeve.
Oh, he certainly did, yes.
And now Beswick has gone like Tim, for Jim has finally beaten him. To those who think Beswick's the best and lie on the floors, I say to them, up yours.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, just made it up.
Well, yes, clearly. I appreciate the sentiments very much indeed, Jimmy.
Yeah, I've got some else to know.
What?
Right, I know what the shadow is on the Mexican football pitch.
Yes, what is it?
It's Jimmy Hill's chin.
Oh, well, no, clearly, no, that would throw the entire pitch into darkness.
That explains why the shadow has grown so much.
Oh, because he forgot to take his razor with him.
Yeah.
Ah, right, I understand. Fabulous, thank you very much.
Yeah, hang on.
Oh.
Why don't you take over Timmy Mallett's programme? Then your programme will be 6 hours long.
Oh, yeah, that's just what I want to do, isn't it? He's sitting here for 6 hours.
And you get paid more.
No, I wouldn't.
Why?
Because you've never worked here, but I can tell you it's true.
I bet it's smart, though.
What?
Working there.
Is it?
Yeah, and play Lofty's record again.
Oh, I'll see if I can find
it. You should get paid for promoting it.
Well, I'll have a word with him and see if he'll get me a part in EastEnders, all right?
Yeah,
Then I won't have to come here in the evening. Get off. Meanwhile, in Bramhall, it's John Mayo.
Oh, no. It's Jonathan Mayo from the Niobium Embassy.
Oh, God, I thought...
Steve Davis was right.
I was hoping it...
But listen...
No, you listen!
All right, yes, go on.
I was hoping it'd be Tony Mayo.
No, well, I thought they were changing it by deed poll.
Oh, all right, then.
Steve Davis is right. It is a Sputnik, and incidentally it was transported there by one of our spaceships.
Yeah.
Now, you know this moron poll?
This what?
The moron poll.
Oh, yeah.
Top 10. Well, I gather I've got it to number 7 now.
That's your highest so far, yeah?
So far, yeah, but I want to get higher, OK?
Well, now's your chance.
Right. Well, it will be, yeah. You know Paddy McGee? That's what I want to talk about.
Paddy McGee?
Yeah.
Who's he?
Patrick McGee, the Irishman who was imprisoned.
Oh, I am not a number, I am a free man.
Something like that, yeah.
Number 6.
Yeah, anyway. Well, he's the wrong man.
He doesn't understand that.
No, I don't, sorry.
Patrick McGowan, you turkey.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh, God.
Right, well, it's the wrong man anyway.
Why?
Well, I don't know if you realised, but he's got more than a passing resemblance to a certain Alan, was it Bosworth? On Red Rose, anyway.
Bostic?
No, it's, Bedpan, that's it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And it's actually Alan Bismarck that is the person they should have got.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the gentleman you're referring to should be locked up. But that's neither here nor there.
I think I ought to introduce the electric chair just for him.
Well, that's very decent of you. Have you got anything else, anything sensible to say at all?
Yeah, going on to that miserly conduct thing that you're doing. I don't know, I haven't heard anybody mentioning Mrs. T herself.
Go on.
Well,
you've been working on something here, haven't you?
No, just I'm living here.
Oh, God, shut up.
Right.
You're dreadful. I thought of a joke before, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, well, anyway, that's all I've got to say tonight.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'll see you.
OK, then.
It's been, I must admit, it's been nice talking to me.
Yes, I should imagine it has, yeah.
Right, bye.
OK, nanu.
Yeah, and all that.
Bye-bye now.
Yeah.
Yeah, off you go. Now then, at this point of the programme, for reasons which will become clear in a moment, I'll just read out a letter or two, because, for no other reason than the fact that it's 28 minutes past 11. This first letter which springs to hand is from someone called Shelley Louise, from Green Drive, Bolton, in Lancs. And she says, Dear James H., I wonder if you could please help me. I'm madly in love with Michael Dean, who regularly phones into your show. He is such an intelligent, calm, cool and totally collected guy, and I feel he is the man for me. Could you please pass my telephone number on to him as soon as possible and ask him to get in touch with me? Tell him that my name is Shelley Louise Robinson. I'm 16 years of age and attend Bolton School Girls Division. I wear a red and black school uniform, and I'm 5'4" tall, 8 stone, and have blonde hair and green eyes. My hobbies are keeping fit and horse riding. Please ask Michael to contact me any night after 10 p.m. And then Shelley Louise encloses her telephone number, but I'm not going to reveal it. Please do this for me, James, and I promise I'll come and visit you in my school uniform. On the other hand, someone else from Bolton, from Little Lever, writes in and says, It's me, Tracy, long time no hear. Remember the Bolton Wanderers fan? No. Anyway, as head of the MDFC, that's the Mike Dean fan club, I'm very upset over the letters you receive constantly picking on Michael. Leave him alone. OK, the boy has a problem, but don't we all? I've made my own list of 5 reasons why Mike Dean has these uncontrollable attacks of hysteria. 1, he listens to Jim Reeve on Piccadilly Radio. 2, the constant pressure of being a famous radio contributor. Number 3, he has just received his phone bill. Number 4, people keep saying that he is Sean Kirkpatrick. And number 5, he doesn't know about my fan club. And don't worry, you haven't heard the last of me. So there we are, some fairly scathing comments about Mike Dean from Ashton-under-Lyne. And believe it or not, on line 7 now, we do have Mike Dean from Ashton-under-Lyne. Hello, Michael.
Yes. I think it's very good, all these people setting up fan clubs. However, and I'd like to say to that girl, however much I really love school uniforms. School uniforms. I'm, taken at the moment. Sorry.
I thought you were more into saris, actually, Michael.
Yes, saris and then big long dresses. Yeah.
But then again, of course, sari.
Kimonos too. I like quite. Yeah.
Will you let me do this joke?
Sorry, go on.
Sari is the hardest word to say.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
I'll probably laugh later on.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yes, I want to get on to some business anyway. I don't want to talk about these people phoning in and writing in. I want to talk about... You shouldn't have cut me off the other day. I get excited now and again. Just now and again. I get excited, don't I?
Oh, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, just now and again. Well, you shouldn't have cut me off because, it might be even be dangerous. I went down to...
What, like waking someone up when they're sleepwalking?
Well, yeah. Anyway, listen to this. I've heard about this moron chart and this Andrew Young. Is he called Andrew Young?
He is indeed, yeah.
Yes, well, if he wants, he's challenged me. If he wants to speak to me, he can phone Piccadilly Monday to Wednesday. We'll talk about anything if he wants to, right? Sorry. Right? No, I don't call it a discussion. I don't discuss things with people like of his sort. We'll call it a clash, shall we?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, yes. Right, so if he's listening, he can phone in on any of them times, right? Yes, and that letter...
Sorry, I was just moistening my lips then.
Yeah, and that letter that you got from claiming to be somebody who's my psychiatrist, well, it's obviously just somebody who knows me personally and has, dragged a few facts together and that actually knows my psychiatrist's name is an outpatient. It's not a... But you both claim to be socialists.
Yeah, that's right.
And he claims to be a pacifist.
Yeah.
Why don't you unite as one? And you'd make a real driving force. Beauty and the Beast. I'm sure you'd like to.
And who would be whom?
Pardon?
Who would be who in this Beauty and the Beast scenario?
Well, I'm sure you can tell us.
Yeah, sure. Well, it goes without saying, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Have you heard of the Internationale?
Oh, yes.
Well,
unites the human race.
You two, eh?
No, there's a major flaw in your argument here, Michael, because although I'm a pacifist and abhor violence in all its forms, when it comes to that fat ginger-haired short arse, what I really want to do is kick his face in for him.
Well, that's not very nice, is it? We can't build a relationship on that and speaking like that.
It causes me enormous ideological problems. I lie awake at night thinking, how can I reconcile my internationalist pacifist tendency with this overwhelming desire to kick his gormless...
Yeah, I can imagine you do, yeah. As you would, of course. And, you both seem to have almost the same views, from what I've heard of my colleagues.
Yeah.
We don't anymore.
No, good, fine, right.
I'd like to say some more Get Losts, please. I'd like to say Get Lost to Neil Butlin, Karen Whitfield, and I'd like to say a big Get Lost to Dr. Price, and tell him that injection he gave me on Wednesday wasn't called for at all.
What, in the
Yeah, I was just releasing a bit of frustration, I wasn't damaging the wall at all in any way.
In what part of your body do you have these injections, Michael?
It depends. Any part that can get in at the time, see.
Yeah, depending on how long they can hold you down.
Yeah, well, I'm usually friendly with these two guys, but, they're about 6 foot tall, and, once they're told by Mr. Price Dr. Price to get me, they won't stop me.
Right.
Anyway, it was called for. That's the thing. It wasn't called for, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, won't you?
Oh, I agree with you, yes, as long as you're at arm's length. Yeah, that's fine.
I want to talk about my subject that I was talking about before, apartheid.
Yes, okay.
I want to bring up points that other people have missed. Right.
Yeah, you're going to have to be quick, though.
All right, obviously some people in South Africa are racist, but most are keeping up apartheid to defend the economy. Incidentally, if we're talking about sick things, I was reading through the Guinness Book of Records the other day, and this is in this year's, if you look towards the accidents and disasters section, I saw where 5,000 people were trampled to death in a rush for free beer in Russia.
Give over.
I'm not kidding. You look.
I don't believe that.
I'm not kidding. You look. 5,000 in a rush for free beer.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to...
Anyway, 18 million people have been arrested over some petty pass laws. I know a lot of these pass laws have been taken out through, various things, and both has been, victimised by militants. Militants, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's time...
Tutu begs for sanctions, and he's representing the South African people. Now, I think sanctions would bring forward revolution quicker.
Yeah.
Now, how can we possibly say that we can't introduce sanctions? How can we possibly say we're protecting them when they're
OK, that's fine. That's Mike Dean in Ashton, who you can hear talking away there. And, hello?
Are you going to cut me off here?
Yes, certainly I am.
Hang on
No.
Hang on a minute.
Mike Dean in Ashton, who, as you can see, is not, in fact, benefiting from his treatment at all. So, I suspect we'll just... I'll tell you what we'll do. A further bulletin will be issued on Monday evening between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. And I'm absolutely sure that everything will be resolved to everyone's satisfaction. In the meantime, we must take a commercial break. Is that all right with you, Michael?
Look, I want to do my anthem.
Right, OK, fine. 22 minutes to midnight. We're going to talk to a gentleman, I don't believe this. He's called Gareth Bender in Didsbury in just a moment. But first we must hear from those dreadful pair of people called Wham. Wham and The Edge of Heaven, aren't they? A nice bunch of lads. They've split up now, of course, which makes one wonder what Andrew Ridgeley will do for a living now that George Michael has left him on his own. Not for me to ponder, of course, but for you to reflect on, perhaps, as you while away the... Anyway, never mind all that. A quick break before we go to Mr. Bender. Now, the aforementioned Mr. Bender. Is that really your name?
Yeah.
This has probably caused you quite a lot of difficulty over the years, hasn't it?
It has indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your surname?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, remember last week you were talking about...
No, just a minute. I want to go into this further. Oops. Didn't mean that. What sort of jokes have people made about your name, Gareth, over the years?
Floppy ones.
Sorry?
Floppy ones.
Floppy jokes?
Yeah.
I see. What? Hello. It's a good job your name's not Anthony, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. OK, yes, please, continue.
Right, remember last week you were talking about how to get rid of a doggy muck? Yeah.
Dog poo. Actually, a punter from Ardwick, who has written to me before, in fairly uncompromising terms, sent me an envelope containing a tablet of soap, advising me that I might use this confection with which to wash out my mouth, because he felt that the language used on that particular programme was worthy of the treatment.
Well, it's probably Alan Beswick in disguise.
What puzzled me, actually, was that I was unaware that you could buy soap in Ardwick. So whoever it was must have had a day trip out to somewhere more romantic, like Newton Heath or something like that. Yeah.
Anyway,
go on.
Right, anyway, I've got the definitive method to tackle it.
Dog dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you do is you get Richard Branson,
then
scoop it all up,
fly
it over to New York, right, on one of his cheapo flights, take it to Washington, stuff it up Reagan's arse.
I'm sorry. Oh, President Reagan. Yeah.
Then you get Maggie to lick them out, wrap them up, and give them to the pensioners as their Xmas bonus.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereabouts in Didsbury do you live?
In Atwood Road.
Atwood Road.
Yeah.
Now, give us a clue. Atwood. Is that off Barlow Moor?
Nearby.
Yeah. OK, well, I'll come round later on and put all the orders in.
Just one more thing.
What?
You know stinginess?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know this person called Bernard. Yeah.
Bernard?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a wally, but anyway.
Well, of course he is.
He doesn't buy his own toothpaste.
What does he do?
He goes around scrounging off everyone else.
What? Could you lend me does he come round to your kitchen door with his toothbrush and say, excuse me, could you give me a squeeze?
Virtually, he is so stingy.
Oh,
he even cuts his own hair.
Oh, not with one of those things that you send away for. With one of those postal bargains, cut and comb.
He gets the scissors from just normal scissors, and he proceeds to cut his own hair.
Oh, God. Listen, I tell you what, something that I must do one night is people's silliest postal bargains. Because there's one which has caught my attention from time to time, the rotary nose hair trimmer.
Oh,
yeah?
No.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't
It's
actually.
Brilliant. You know, they put in these postal bargain things, they try and sell you them, all these ridiculous things, by, like, there's a thing that you can use for getting the condensation off your windows.
Yeah.
And it goes... like that.
Yeah.
And it says, only £4.95, no wires or batteries needed.
Yeah.
And you think, hey, that's great, no wires or batteries. And then afterwards you think, just a minute, why should it need any wires or batteries? Because obviously it doesn't.
Yeah.
But the nose hair trimmer had all sorts of, little things surrounded by spiky, little drawings round it to make it look like great, And it says, fully portable.
Oh.
Right? Well, obviously it's going to be portable. You're not going to have a wall...
Yeah.
You're not going to have a wall-mounted one, are you?
Yeah.
That you have to stand near and put your nostril on top of it and then turn a handle, right? Brilliant. Removes unsightly nasal hair.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll do that at some point in the future, right? Ridiculous postal bargains. Meanwhile, you've become very boring in the last few minutes, so off you go. Larry Lamb in Stockport.
Hello, Jim.
Yes?
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 I'd like to talk to you about Frank Sidebottom, please.
Right.
Well, why isn't he on the switchboard?
Well, he's gone. He got fed up and cleared off.
Why?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I'm rather a fan of his, and that's the only reason I rang up.
So am I. You and me both, Larry.
Yeah.
And I only wish that he'd hung around a bit longer so he could have come into the studio and entertained us with some of his gems. But unfortunately, he must have said, oh, blimey, and he's gone home back to his shed in Timperley.
Yeah, because actually, I've interviewed
Hey, I tell you what, don't I do a brilliant Frank Sidebottom impression?
It's not. I thought he was there for a minute.
Oh, yeah, I know, it's easily done, yeah.
But I've interviewed him, actually. I've spoken to the man himself.
For what, Old Moore's Almanac?
Well, no, I'm quite a roving reporter myself, so I did an interview with him.
Rambling is the word I'd use.
Rambling,
yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Now, listen,
what?
A friend of mine was on earlier, called Jack. Do you remember him?
Jack Meoff?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a friend of his.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, I'm actually from Chapel on the Frith, like him.
Oh, God.
So I'd like to give him a mention, if I may.
Well, he's already been on. What are you wasting my time for?
I work for him. No, I work for him in Chapel. With another bloke called Paul Riley.
Yes.
Him a mention as well.
Yes, right.
So I'd like to talk about football as well.
No, as well as what?
Well, as well as Frank.
As well as the Ferodo Brake Lining Company.
Well, listen, there's more to Chapel than Ferodo, you know.
Name it.
Sheep.
Yeah, yes, but outside your leisure time, what is there? And why have you got a lot of giggling women in the background? And more to the point, why haven't I got a lot of giggling women in the background?
Because you work at Piccadilly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, no, that's the end of that. Dean McDermott in Wythenshawe.
Hi, Jim.
Hello.
That shadow in the Aztec Stadium is definitely a sound system.
Whoa, don't be boring. Can't you come up with something more imaginative?
No, because it is.
What is it? Couldn't it be some sort of... Well, we've had various suggestions. What?
It's not a spaceship.
It is a spaceship.
It's not a spaceship.
Haven't you ever read any Eric von Daniken?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, clearly then, if it's in Mexico, it must be a spaceship.
Why?
Because that's the way it is.
But it is definitely a sound system, but it doesn't work, though.
Oh, well, of course it doesn't, because Mexican engineers are trying to operate it.
Exactly.
Right. So it's a useless sound system suspended in the ideal place, which is directly above the centre spot at a football stadium.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you want for that? Do you expect to win a T-shirt or something?
Yeah, anyway, on...
Yeah, no, you won't. No, you won't do, right. OK, fine. Thank you very much indeed, Dean McDermott, for that invaluable contribution to the programme. At this juncture, we must take another break. OK, one last attempt to inject some sense into the programme. Dave Carrington in Southport.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, well, I've got a suggestion to start as what that thing is over that stadium.
Yes?
Jimmy Greaves' toupee.
Ah, now, I think we may be getting close to the truth here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what's it doing suspended over the stadium?
Well, have you seen how it's so bald in the studio?
Yeah.
It caught on the coach when he went to Mexico, so I think that's what it's doing there, you know.
Ah, right. Have you noticed, by the way, David, that obviously all the staff of independent television are under instructions to find Jimmy Greaves amusing?
Really?
Have you not noticed this?
No, he's not very amusing, no, is he?
No, he's about as funny as getting Fiery Jack on your hemorrhoids, really. But when every time he opens his mouth, they've been told that because of all the money that they're paying him, oh, God, you won't believe what I've just seen through the studio window. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. They've been told that Jimmy Greaves is funny. He must be, because we're paying him £35,000 every Saturday afternoon.
Not worth it.
So, laugh.
Uh-huh.
So, what's the bald-headed fella called? Brian Moore.
Oh,
says, Yeah, he says, and now we'll, of course, during the match, we'll be going over to Jimmy Greaves to see what he's got to say. And Jimmy Greaves says, oh, I'm a bit pissed, actually. And they all go, ah, ha, 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 ha. Oh, I don't believe it. Whatever will he come out with next? Apart from an invoice.
Yeah.
I can't believe that the puddled old get is actually being paid to perform like that on television. It's atrocious. When I'm here with my massive talent, grafting away at Piccadilly Radio every night of the week for your delectation for peanuts, I think it's an outrage.
You're a Man City supporter, though, Jim.
What?
You're a Man City supporter, though.
Yeah?
So you're going to be a little bit biased towards your team, aren't you?
What's wrong with that?
Oh, well, I mean, I've got to admit, though, Jimmy Greaves is not biased towards any team.
Well, it's just Jimmy Greaves doesn't know what day it is, that's why, because he's only got about 4 brain cells left.
Naughty.
What?
He's a senile old get who can help that. But I've got to admit, he's unbiased.
He's unbiased because he can't remember the names of any of the football teams in the league.
Brian Moore can.
Oh.
In the World Cup.
Yes, but he doesn't know the names of any of the players. Socrates. What do you think, Brian? Oh, nothing really. I'm just enjoying the game.
Hey, did not get shut up by Mick Shannon the other night.
Fine.
Whoa.
Socrates. Hey? Oh, anyway, shut up, you're boring. Right, OK, very nearly the news time. Rosemary is here already. Good grief, is it 12 o'clock? The time has absolutely flown by. Perhaps that's because I've had far too much to drink. But anyway, before we go up to the news, we must have yet another break. All time, Jeff Beck and Hi-Ho Silver Lining. It's funny how there are some records which never, ever fail to get people dancing, even though the people who put the pint down and jump up and start dancing to them weren't even born when the records were released. I mean, that is one of them. Satisfaction by the Stones is another. Brown Sugar by the Stones is another. And Tiger Feet by Mud is another. And, of course, there's Let's Twist Again and Rock Around the Clock and all this sort of thing. And whatever else goes on, those records will always get people up on their feet. Isn't it wonderful? Welcome back to the final hour of the programme. You're probably very glad that you're here, and I'm certainly very glad that I'm here, but only for the next 50 minutes, because thereafter I shall push off home, and that's me finished for the weekend. How wonderful. A guest door slammer, whose name shall remain anonymous, so the DHSS don't find out about him. Well, that made him choke on his number 6 king size, didn't it, eh? Right. Thank you very much indeed. We shall now proceed with some more phone calls, beginning in West Didsbury, of course, with the Phantom. Yeah.
Hello?
In fact, do you know, something's just occurred to me. Hello?
Hello?
Hello. Yes, shut up now. Something's just occurred to me that, of course, the pilot at Ringway who decided to bottle his takeoff because he heard a mysterious bang on board his aeroplane, I mean, presumably it was the 1830 Club. Anyway, come on, what do you want?
Well, I'm thinking about that guy who was just on, Gareth Bender.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know some of his nicknames, because you was interested in him.
Yeah, Mr. Bender seemed fairly reluctant to disclose his nicknames.
Yeah, he would be.
Perhaps you can throw some light on Mr. Bender's sobriquets.
Yeah, well, one of them is Barry Bender.
Barry Bender, yes.
Which comes from Barry Bendover.
And where does he come from?
Timbuktu, I think.
Ah, right, yeah.
And another one is Jerk-Off Joe.
I'm tempted to ask you why.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, you see, one day...
Yes.
He lives near the old railway, see. He went down there on his own.
Lives near the old railway?
Yeah.
Do you mean a boozer or the actual old railway?
The actual old railway where the trains used to go.
Through Didsbury, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And he went down there on his own night with the pornographic magazine.
Ah, right, fine. Thanks very much indeed, that gentleman from West Didsbury. I'm tempted to give your phone number out. No, I shan't. Anyway, over to Hale now, an equally salubrious part of South Manchester, and Mark James.
How do, Jim?
Hello.
I've a very good idea what that thing's over Mexican Stadium.
Ah, please tell me.
I think it's Maradona doing a Mooney.
Then, I have difficulty, actually. Perhaps it's my spatial perception which is at fault here, but I can't really see how Mr. Maradona's buttocks would, unless he's of a singularly hirsute nature, would cast that kind of shadow.
Well, have you noticed all the legs? You see, the way everybody goes on about Maradona,
yeah.
You think he had that many legs?
Oh, that's what it is.
Well, it is, because all you see on the pitch, when he's actually playing,
yeah.
And you know when the sun shines and you always see, like, loads of stripes?
Yeah.
All you see is his hair and his legs. Well, that's what the team would like to think anyway. Because they never talk about anyone else, do they? It's Maradona all the time.
Yeah, well, of course, that may be Brian Moore's fault because he doesn't know the names of any of the other Argentinian players.
Well, that's true.
Right.
Anyway, another thing. A couple of weeks ago on a news item, there was something about the journalists going on strike. And the paper said, we don't need journalists anyway. Well, I know why they don't need journalists. Because they take all the stories from Woman's Own.
Oh, very amusing indeed.
They do.
Yes.
There was one. I think it was just last week. In one day, there was 3 items from Women's Own.
Quoted?
Actually quoted.
Right.
There was one about that young Boris Becker.
Yes.
And it was about, a good column, and at the end it had, from Woman's Own.
Yeah.
And then there was one about Prince Philip saying about the forthcoming wedding.
Right.
Quoted from Woman's Own.
Yeah.
And there was another one, I forget what it was anyway. And there was another 2 the other day.
Was it about Prince Philip saying that he was very worried about the world that Wills and Harry were going to grow up in?
That's right, that's it. And that was in Woman's Own as well.
Yeah.
So I thought, if you went out and bought a load of women's magazines, you could make your own tabloid newspaper.
Well, I do actually buy a lot of women's magazines, to be perfectly honest with you, Mark.
Well, they're very good, I find.
Partly for the recipes.
Yeah.
And partly because... Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Cosmopolitan's good, actually.
What?
Cosmopolitan's good.
It is, isn't it? Especially... Anyway, yeah, right, fine. Thanks very much indeed. Anything else to say?
Oh, yeah. And I think Brian Moore sounds very much like Frank Sidebottom.
Are they both the same?
Well, a little bit, when you go, "God, blimey."
It doesn't say, "Oh, blimey, me trousers are on fire."
Hey, you know, it just sounds like that on the bus, honestly, when he's shouting to his kids. It's amazing. Amazing, he really is. Is the end.
I don't wish to know that.
It does, it just sounds the same.
You're referring to Frank... Do you actually know Frank Sidebottom?
Yeah.
He's honestly, the man's a genius.
He is. He's very upfront, and he's very funny, and he brings a nice sense of humour to the music business or whatever.
I'm so envious, I want to kill him. Would that be all right?
He's very talented.
No, don't talk to me about talented people. Trina Day in Salford.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to speak... before I speak to you about what I want to speak to you about, do you go to the loo during the breaks?
Do I?
Yeah.
No, love.
Oh.
No, because I mean, from the waist down, everything I possess is just so massive. You see what I mean?
No, it's just that it's so good records after the break normally. I didn't think you were putting them on.
Oh, that's very, very funny, isn't it? Very droll.
It was about what you were saying about Jimmy Greaves, actually.
What's Trina short for?
It's short for nothing.
Trina?
It's a beautiful name.
I named this child Trina.
No, Nah.
Trina.
Yes, that's correct. Beautiful name, beautiful person.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Anyway, there's nothing wrong with Jimmy Greaves. I found him as funny as you.
You can't possibly be serious.
Not at all, and it's not fair to slur him about his drink, seeing as how he stopped.
He's an old fool. I mean, honestly, he's decrepit. He looks like a cartoon about the First World War, doesn't he?
Well, he doesn't look nice, no.
No, he's ridiculous.
He's amusing.
He's also, because he blasted his brain out of existence with drink, he's puddled. But somehow, some bright spark at ITV has decided that it was worth bunging him and Ian St John on the TV together. And although they are not funny in the slightest, I mean, Auschwitz was funnier than those two are, but obviously they've been told that this is funny, and they've got to act up to it, and all the people who sit slavering round them have been told that this is funny. I mean, it must be funny, otherwise we wouldn't be paying them all this money, so you'd better laugh.
Jimmy
and that's
Greaves
what's going on.
Funny. Anyway, before you cut me off, because I don't think Jimmy Greaves is the best...
No, never mind that. Before England played Paraguay, Brian stupid baldy-head Moore said to Jimmy Greaves...
I agree with him.
What do you think, Jimmy? Right? And obviously everyone was sitting around going... I wonder what Jimmy will say. And Jimmy Greaves said, well, I think Paraguay will win. And everyone went, ah! Oh, God, Jimmy, you're so funny. What a lot of absolute biz.
Can I tell you this joke about Manchester City, please?
Well, if it's about Manchester City, it won't be funny.
It is, it's terribly funny.
Go on.
Right, Peter Swales is in Manchester, And he passes out in front of the building society.
It's the Alliance Building Society. The same joke was on the programme last night.
It wasn't, because I listened to all your programmes.
Yes, it was.
When you called our Salford people.
What happened to the second, third and fourth? Listen, never mind calling Salford people, right?
Said, I bet nobody in Salford reads the Times.
I was brought up in Salford, and I used to go to the Willows when they had crowds there of about 300.
Oh, well, that must be about, 17, 18 years ago.
Slightly more than that, actually. Anyway, never mind. Trina Day from Salford, get off, because you weren't in the least bit entertaining. Dennis Hargreaves in Sale, what have you got to say for yourself?
Not a lot.
Right. Is that it?
Yes.
Cheers now, Dennis. Thanks for coming on the...
Still there? You talked about the shadow on the pitch before.
Yes.
And I thought you, being an aficionado of the Reds, would have realised that...
some mistake, surely.
Well, you can't take a joke. That all these Latin sides want England to lose, and what they're doing is they're showing an X-ray of Robbo's shoulder on the pitch.
Very funny. With an epidioscope.
I'm sure they are, because I mean that's the only way to frighten England, surely, isn't it?
What, to remind them that the whole team's in danger of falling apart?
Well, Robbo's in danger of falling apart.
I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with the role that Manchester United have played in more or less destroying the British team's chances of European teams' chances of winning the cup.
Don't forget the Danes.
I was going to say, I mean, it was a beautifully flighted cross from Jesper Olsen which led to the Spanish equaliser. Brian Robson came to bits on the pitch twice. And very nearly destroyed England's chances. It seems, actually, that their fortunes have picked up considerably since Robson was sidelined. And what part did United players have in the downfall of the Scots? They must have had something. Come on.
Well, I don't know. I think Gordon Strachan seemed to play quite well, but he can't seem to do it when he's at Old Trafford. And Jesper, last night, from what I saw, that at half-time he went off, it scored one and made one. So,
it scored at both ends, I think. In fact, the headline in today's Guardian was Olsen opens the floodgates. So I can only hope that he reproduces this form at Old Trafford next season on many, many occasions.
Well, I hope so, but...
you know, when they win the league again.
Yeah. It's nice to see Ron out there, because the nicest comment I saw was that neither of these teams want to lose. Which was... it's very good for Ron, that, wasn't it?
There was I'll tell you... In the... Was it... No, it was the 1978 World Cup. It was... You know... Was that one done on a league basis or a knockout basis? I can't remember.
What, the World Cups?
Yeah.
Well, they always start off with the league basis, don't they?
Yeah, but some of them go on to... There was a sort of a fad for having them on a league basis thereafter. But anyway, whatever it was something like... there were two teams playing, and it was one of these things where... The result of their match didn't just affect their placings, it affected somebody else's placings, you know what it is. And Brian Moore said something like, he said, well, actually, both of these teams need to win tonight. It's a bit of a tricky situation. Well, that's the whole point of a bloody football match, is that both the teams need to win.
No, they're all full of it, though, aren't they? It's a game of two halves. And,
I know.
And we hope we get the result.
I know.
You know, if it's 3-0 against us, we've got a result, haven't we?
I can still remember some of the gems from the... I didn't actually pay a lot of attention to the 82 World Cup, but I can remember the 78 World Cup, and some of the... I mean, I remember at the start of the second half of the final, I think... Who was it? I can't remember who the commentator was. Anyway, he came on and he said, well, here we are. He said, Holland 1 up, Argentina 1 down.
And if it stays like this, Holland are going through.
I know. He said, well, I said the match wasn't over, and it wasn't. But that's what, it was Brian Moore, the pudding, and he said, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I just had to roll on the floor. He said, and now, I think it was, Holland scored first, and then Argentina equalised, didn't they? And he said, well, that's it, the scores are level now, and this is a cup final in every sense of the word.
I'll tell you something, he keeps saying, calling Brian Moore, but if John Motson's commentating on the game, I turn the sound down, and I'd love to know how many other people do that.
Well, I sincerely hope that they put the James H. Reeve programme on the radio at the same time.
Well, come on, they listen to that and then turn over for the final score, don't
Absolutely, I should think so. No, you're getting a bit what?
You might be able to make something out of that. Just find how many people that listen to Piccadilly turn John Watson off. Because he's I don't know, he's the only person that can turn round and say to you, the score's 1-1 now, and if it stays like this, it's going to be a draw.
Oh, no, don't worry. No, there are plenty of other people prepared to say that. It's just that he gets paid more than most for it. Right, I'm sorry, you're getting a bit self-indulgent, Dennis, now. Off you go. Oh, God. Roy Acorn.
How do, Jim?
Yes.
Bit busy today, ain't it, eh?
What?
Bit busy over there today,
A little bit chocky, yes.
Yeah, I didn't say chill, I said a bit busy.
Busy?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
Well, I've rang up like 4 times today. It's been engaged every time.
That's the way it is, you see.
Today, I actually have to try to ring in. I have to attempt, you see. And today it actually worked eventually, about 12:15.
Yes, OK. This is all very interesting, but come on.
Right, here it is. I actually know what that thing is that dangles down in the Aztec Stadium.
Good.
It's a Russian magnet, you see.
What?
And there's a magnet inside the ball, right?
Yeah.
And what the Russians do, they control the magnet, so when a Russian kicks the ball, it goes in the net, you see, they magnetise it to the opposition's goal, and that is how they won 6-0 against Hungary.
Yeah, it didn't work. Go on, you're going to talk about Belgium now, aren't you?
Yes. But on the day of Belgium, you see, the sun was that hot, it melted, and it didn't work, and that's what happens, you see. They lost, didn't they?
Yeah.
It gradually faded away, and that is why they lost. You got to admit, isn't it very true, that?
No, it's not true at all, Roy. Thanks very much for coming on the programme. Frank Connolly in Timperley. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
It's actually Armandis Mendoza.
I'm sorry?
Armandis Mendoza.
Ah, right.
But I want to believe in the forthcoming game with Argentina.
Yes.
But do you believe the game has any political complications at this particular time?
I see. Well, Rodrigo...
No, Hernandez.
Sorry?
Hernandez.
Armandez. Yes.
I am Anglo-Argentinian, I have to say, at this stage, yeah.
Yes, well, don't worry. So is Sarah Ferguson.
Really?
Have you read today's Sun newspaper?
No, it's only a tabloid. I only read the Intelligentsia.
I see. Well, it would do you good, Hernandez, to read today's Sun newspaper and see how the other half lives.
Really?
Because the leader in today's Sun newspaper is just about... I mean, apart from the fact that the front page headline says, "Bring on the Argies!" ! It drones on about the fact that England have won 2 football matches in succession, which isn't that much of a big deal. But it then says, "The Sun says," turn to page 11, and the leader column says, "Right, we've seen off these snivelling seniors. Now bring on those gits that we've already smashed to bits once, and we'll give them another seeing to. So sod off, you Argies." It's absolute. I'm amazed that you can get away with it. In fact, I'm thinking of taking out a personal summons against the Sun newspaper under it must be the Race Relations Act, because that is incitement to racial hatred.
I really believe that, yeah?
You see? Yeah. Anyway, what did you do in the war?
But I did nothing. You see, I'm half and half, you know?
By the sound of things, yes.
Half and half in English, half and half Argentinian. So it's very, very difficult for me. I have to put myself in a certain situation, you know, and
yeah, in this life, Hernandez, we all have to put ourselves in difficult positions from time to time.
That is true, but
anything to keep
do you believe the game has any political significance, irrespective of the, the tabloid press, etc., you know?
Of course it doesn't, me old buttered scone. It has no political significance whatsoever, because it's simply a game of football, and the fact that England are playing Argentina is a matter of lottery. OK? Now then, if you want to ask a sensible question, it is whether the bozos, and I'm quite prepared to admit that there are people of minimal intelligence in both England and Argentina, whether the turkeys who go to watch the match will decide to use it as an excuse to kick each other's faces in.
Yeah,
I think that is very important. Now, I think the only answer to this is that if these people decide to inflict physical harm upon each other and shout Argentina or England while so doing, then that's fine, as long as no one who has got nothing to do with it gets injured. That's great, because it is in some ways a microcosm of what in fact happened in the Malvinas. in which a lot of people who had nothing
You're trying to patronise me now, eh?
No.
Hey, the Falkland Islands, you try to patronise me, surely, yeah?
I'm sorry, do you prefer to call them the Falklands?
I call them nothing.
All right, the Nothing Islands, then, OK?
The Nothing Islands.
Right. If these people do so, then they will be doing precisely what the poor, unfortunate combatants did in the Falkland Islands, which was try and kill each other for the sake of a state which, in fact, owes them nothing whatsoever.
Very true.
OK? So it will be a hideous microcosm of the Falklands conflict itself.
Can I just say one thing to you? You know the wedding of Andrew?
Yeah.
And now her mother is married to a Argentinian, yeah?
Polo player, yes.
Yeah. And, you know, could that wedding have gone forward 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think the wedding could. The wedding would have gone all right. I mean, it would have...
I mean, I'm not so sure on my dates, but maybe, you know, in the height of the crisis, you know, I know he's out there, but, I mean, you know, he's going to marry, you know, a guy who's in line of the throne. He's going to marry an English lady, and her stepfather is Argentinian.
Yeah.
In the height of the Falklands crisis, would that have been very good politically, maybe?
Yes, but she wouldn't have known. I mean, no.
Or would that not have come to the press, maybe?
No, it wouldn't have mattered one tiny little bit.
You don't think so?
No, not at all.
So, you know, Andy marries Argie's daughter, you know?
Yes, well, the Sun would have made a certain amount out of it, but then again, the Sun would have found itself torn between its xenophobia and its grovelling, slavering obsequiousness to the royal family. So it would have found things a little bit tricky, but I'm sure that the drunken gits who pose as journalists on the Sun would have found some way round it, and everything would have been fine, and the poor people, the poor deluded subforms who read the Sun newspaper, would have still been convinced that everything was all right, and that whatever the Sun newspaper told them was the absolute truth. So that would have been fine. Are you happy now, Frank?
I am as happy as I ever am, you know?
Well, good, then we can't hope for any improvement. Good. Off you go. Simon Ashton in Northwich, hello.
No, it's Nantwich, actually.
North Nant, it's the same thing. It's out in the sticks. It's some godforsaken hole. It doesn't really matter what it's called.
Hole being the operative word.
Right.
Listen, I've had enough of these slotheads saying that this shape on the pitch is a sound system.
Slotheads?
Yeah.
That's the second time I've heard that expression this week.
Well, I told you that on Tuesday night when I come back from the Indian meal. Well, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, the actual shape, what it is it's a warning thrown down by the old Inca gods.
Oh, yeah.
And you notice how at the beginning of the tournament it started off dead small?
It was just a circular form, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
What it does is it grows bigger every time a South American team starts crying. Or attacks a referee or tries to strangle Gary Lineker.
Right.
When they disagree with the referee. Well, that was the original theory, but then we worked it out that if that was true, it would have probably covered half of Mexico by now.
So, right, well, let's just run down the suggestions that we've got for this mysterious object on the pitch. We've had, so far, we've had that it's Jimmy Greaves' toupee.
No.
No.
No way.
It's a sound system.
No, well, it can't be that, because otherwise we'd have seen it in the sky, wouldn't we, when off the cameras? Or is it that high up that it feeds half of Mexico?
Well, I don't understand that. Anyway, that's not it. No, it's probably something to do with the degrees of latitude and longitude and that sort of thing.
Oh, all right, then.
Which I shan't go into at this point. Well, I still maintain that it's a giant sunflower which was planted to commemorate the World Cup, and as the weather gets warmer, it's gradually opening up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? It's Diego Maradona mooning.
Oh, it can't be that.
It's a Sputnik hired from Duckinfield Sputnik Hire, with which a couple of gentlemen from Greater Manchester can nip over and watch the matches and then be back home in time for the tea.
Yeah.
In time to watch Noel Edmonds and that sort of thing.
Oh, good.
And what else is there? Oh, and it's something to do with the old Aztecs or Incas, or as I very nearly said, Iztecs or Ancas.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And
well, I think we can safely rule that out.
No, it definitely gets bigger every time they have an argument with the referee.
Right.
But anyway,
yeah.
Enough of that. You know that geezer that was moaning on about Patrick McGee or whatever his name is a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I know it's wrong to murder people, but as he tried to murder Thatcher, I think he should have at least got an OBE for it.
Oh, that's very unfair, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, come on.
Well, it's a bit unfair.
I mean, anyone who tries to get rid of Thatcher deserves an OBE.
I'll tell you something that that absolutely floored me at the time. Do you remember that spate of jokes about what you call someone with such and such a thing on the head?
Yeah.
What do you call a man with a seagull on his head?
Cliff, yeah.
Yeah, all that sort of thing. And I was very much into those because I thought some of them were very clever. And one of my mates came up to me and said, what do you call a man with a hotel on his head?
Go on.
Norman Tebbit.
Oh, yeah, there was that other one. How do you know Norman Tebbit's a fast reader? He got through four stories in 2 seconds.
Right, I'm sorry. We can't allow that joke on the programme because it's in very, very bad taste. Funny, though, wasn't it?
It was all right.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, one final thing.
Yes, before this commercial break,
What was the second record you played tonight, if you can remember that far back?
Oh,
you were about to mention what it was. It was brilliant. It was in between waffling on about Tommy Mallett's leaving party.
Yeah, it was the Matchstick Flotilla.
Who?
The Hang on, I'll have a look. Just talk amongst yourself for a moment. It was... It was Matchstick Flotilla by the Thrashing Doves.
Is it a newish record?
Yes, it's...
Is it a playlist one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you going to play Tom Watt tonight?
If I can find it, yeah. Do you want me to?
Yeah, it's brill.
Right, I'll see if Stuart can get hold of it for us.
All right.
Then.
Finally, did you know...
The Thrashing Doves are on A&M Records.
Yeah.
And it's... the record number is AM325.
325, thank you. You remember Ivor Biggin?
If you say so, yeah.
Well, Ivor Biggin, I mean, obviously a lot of these slotheads are not aware that Ivor Biggin is actually Frank Sidebottom in his early days.
No, he isn't.
Yes, it is.
No.
Before he put that stupid tomato on his head or whatever
No, it's paper mache anyway.
Oh, is it?
And Ivor Biggin is, in reality, is Doc Cox, who appears on the Enid Rancid show.
Oh, I beg to differ.
Well, I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
Oh, I'm going for Indian meal then.
OK, then. Well, look, when you've had your Indian meal, will you ring us back next week and tell us all about it?
If you insist.
I absolutely I'm adamant on this point.
Oh, pleased to meet you, Adam.
Oh, shut up. That's a very, very old joke. I'm not prepared to tolerate it. Time for a commercial break, I think, with the time at 26 minutes to 1 o'clock. It's a bit noisy, isn't it? Anyway, it's some mob called Rouen. And the title of this particular waxing is Yours for a Day. More chit-chat and general nonsense after this. Bit of a din, that, wasn't it? But never mind, it passes a few moments. Rouen and Yours for a Day. We'll be talking to some more cretins in just a moment, but first, another break. Very good, 18 minutes to 1 o'clock. Paul Kelsall is in Flixton and wants to say something, I gather.
Yeah, that's right. You know that guy.
Oh, fine, that's right. Good, I'm glad I'm right. I assumed, of course, Paul, that because you'd taken the trouble to telephone Piccadilly Radio that you wanted to say something. And, yes, I was right.
That's right.
Yes, good, so we're right. So I'm right. Are you right? Yes,
I'm
good.
right,
We're
yeah.
all right, so everything's all right then.
Well, you weren't right in one respect. You were wrong about that Argentinian so-called guy that you had on earlier.
So I was only partially right.
Only partially right.
Yeah.
That's
but not
partially
wrong.
right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, didn't you suss that guy out at all as being an absolute fraud?
Yes, his name was Frank Connolly.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, I didn't know that his name was Frank Connolly.
Oh, do you want his telephone number?
Not really, no.
Oh, OK.
But didn't you think the impression was extremely poor? And he had a very negative attitude with regard to the Nothing Islands. And he didn't seem to really give any sort of vibes over as being an Argentinian, and had a very poor accent. Well, I thought maybe you'd have picked him up on that.
I realised, of course, from the moment that he came on the air that he was not, in fact, Argentinian. He was about as Argentinian as Alexander Solzhenitsyn, right?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it seemed to amuse him to pretend that he was Argentinian, and since one of the purposes of this radio programme is to amuse people, I thought it best not to let him down, really.
Well, I thought that
because
was
I'm pretty decent like that,
I thought
you
that
know.
was a little bit soft of you, as far as your normal style is concerned. I thought that maybe you'd have let him witter on for maybe a minute, and then exposed him in front of all the listeners, but you didn't. You let him get away with it, and leave the rest of us to form our opinions.
I was tempted. I was very tempted, Paul. Shut up a minute. I was tempted to expose myself, but then again, that generally happens round about this time on a Thursday evening, so I didn't bother. The point is that Frank Connolly was pretending to be Argentinian, and it seemed to entertain him, and I thought, good, because that will give me an opportunity to say precisely what I think about the Argentinians and the Sun newspaper. and as long as he was enjoying it, then no harm was being done to anyone. Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, come on.
Well, that's true, but unfortunately, it came across in the end as being a little bit bland, because I thought it would have been nice if there'd have been a real Argentinian, and there could have been a bit of, real argy-bargy.
Okay, right. Well, I shall ignore that terrible pun, and I shall throw out this challenge. If, in the Greater Manchester area, you are an Argentinian and you would like to come on this programme and discuss the whole issue, then, pardon me, you are very, very welcome to, and the telephone number is 061 228 6262. Is that all right for you, Paul?
Oh, that's great.
Good.
I'd like to go back a few weeks onto another point of yours, actually.
Yeah.
And that is, if you remember the Chernobyl disaster, which I'm sure you haven't forgotten.
Chernobyl.
And you were talking about radioactivity generally.
Yeah.
And you had different people on the programme, and there was a question of rainbow children.
Oh, yes.
Now, this was up to the week before you went on holiday.
Right. This was kids that were born during March 1958 or something like that,
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
it?
right,
Yeah.
Now, you had a couple of people on the programme who said they were born at this time, and they offered interesting things.
Excuse me a minute. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, well, the following night on Granada Reports,
Yeah.
the television sort of news thing that they have on ITV, there was a guy that was on that was on about. It was nothing directly to do with that. It was some guy who was being sued over a charity thing. Where apparently what had happened was this charity were taking money for all different sorts of handicapped people, and there was an investigation about this.
Yeah.
And there was some sort of embezzlement implied, at any rate.
Yeah.
So they spoke to a solicitor who represented this guy on the programme, because he was sort of not available. And this solicitor or lawyer, whatever he was saying, oh, yes, well, this is a very bona fide charity, etc., and the costs are very high, and gave all these reasons for why the money didn't get through, etc.
Yes.
And he quoted some of the charities that the money went to, and he said, oh, well, there's the mentally handicapped so-and-so and the physically handicapped so-and-so.
Physically handicapped?
And
does that mean they can't drink Tizer?
Pardon?
The physically handicapped?
Yeah, that's right. The physically handicapped, the ones that can't drink Tizer, they were included as well.
Yeah.
But particularly the rainbow handicapped. And I thought, oh, well, that's interesting, because we were talking about this the previous night. So you were due to go on your holidays, and I phoned up to mention this, thinking that lots of other people would probably do the same. And at first I couldn't get through, and then when I did get through, I didn't have the bottle, because I'd probably not had enough beer.
Yeah.
And I didn't phone up the following week because you were on holiday, and then after that I had things to do, like going to the pub and things, which take up the time.
Yeah.
So I thought that at the time you were saying that if anybody knows any more about this, that maybe you'd pick up on it and try and find out a little bit. Well, this was actually a thing on Granada Reports where they